What if I told you there's a way to never pull another garden weed again? Not one single weed. Not this season, not next season, not ever. Sounds impossible, right? Well, I'm about to expose the exact method that makes weeding completely unnecessary. And the best part? Once you set this up, it works forever. Welcome to Home Garden Fix, where we make gardening so easy, even the hardest parts disappear. Today, I'm teaching you the complete weed elimination system that'll give you a stress-free, low-maintenance, weed-free garden. Here's my controversial statement. Pulling weeds is a complete waste of time. If you're still bending down pulling weeds, you've set up your garden wrong. Period. Hit subscribe right now because this method will change your gardening life forever. Understanding where weeds come from. Before we eliminate weeds, you need to understand where they're actually coming from. There are two sources, and most gardeners only know about one. First, weeds come from the ground. Underground runners from grasses and ground covers near your garden send roots under your beds, then pop up right in the middle of your vegetables. These are persistent and annoying. Second, weeds come from the air. Many plants produce seeds wrapped in fluffy material that catches wind and flies into your garden. These airborne seeds land right where you're trying to grow food. Now, weeds show up in two places in your garden. They appear in your growing beds right alongside plants you actually want, and they show up in pathways where you're trying to walk. Most gardeners accept this as normal. They spend hours every week bent over pulling weeds, hurting their backs, wasting time. Not anymore. Drop a comment below. How much time do you waste pulling weeds every week? Let's add up how many hours we're saving you. Eliminating pathway weeds forever. Let's start with pathway weeds. Two simple steps eliminate them permanently. Clear and cover. Step 1 is clearing. This is critical at the beginning when setting up your garden. If your garden's already established, you can retrofit this method, but it takes more work. Clear the entire garden area completely. Be extremely thorough. Remove all vegetation before setting up paths and beds. Use a shovel, weed eater, or sod cutter to remove all grass and ground cover. If you have persistent grass that spreads through runners, clearing isn't enough. You need to kill it completely. Spray concentrated vinegar solution or use a torch. Both are organic methods that won't harm nature, but they kill plants from the root so they won't spread into your pathways. Complete clearing is step 1 to weed-free pathways. Step 2 is covering. Before adding mulch, stone, or gravel to pathways, put down a barrier layer. This is the secret most gardeners don't know. The strongest option is ram board or X board, which is temporary floor protection paper. It costs about $40 for a roll that covers 300 to 360 square feet. That's roughly 10 cents per square foot. Yes, $40 sounds like a lot for paper, but this eliminates weeding for years. It slowly biodegrades while blocking weeds completely. It's sustainable, unlike plastic weed cloth. If you don't have aggressive spreading grass, use cheaper builder's paper. It costs about $13 for 400 square feet. Much thinner, but works great if underground weeds aren't your main problem. Never use weed barrier cloth. It's full of plastic, terrible for the environment, impossible to plant through, and honestly just doesn't work well. Brown biodegradable paper is superior in every way. Once your barrier layer is down, cover pathways completely with mulch, gravel, or stone. Now your pathways stay weed-free permanently. Hit that thumbs up button if you're realizing how much time this is going to save you. Eliminating growing bed weeds forever. Now let's tackle weeds in growing beds. This is where the magic really happens. The easiest way to eliminate weeds in beds is elevation. Get your gardens at least 6 inches to 1 foot off the ground. Weeding becomes a thing of the past. My favorite method is raised beds. The taller the raised bed, the better for weed prevention. Underground weeds can't grow up 1 or 2 feet through solid soil to reach your plants. They just can't. But elevation alone isn't enough. How you plant matters enormously for weed prevention. Instead of spacing plants the way seed packets recommend, Use intensive planting. Give each plant the space it needs and nothing more. Pack them in strategically. Here's the goal. Within 6 weeks of planting, when you look down at your garden beds, you should see zero exposed soil. Not one patch of bare dirt showing. This is critical because weeds grow in open spaces. Nature abhors a void. If you fill all available space with plants you actually want, weeds literally have nowhere to grow. No sanlautrici soil. No nutrients available. No space to take root. You've eliminated weed possibilities completely. These 2 steps, clearing and covering pathways plus elevating and intensive planting in beds, eliminate all underground weeds. You won't get weeds growing up 1 or 2 feet from underground, and you'll rarely see any in pathways. Now, let's be realistic. We're not talking perfect paradise. Occasionally, an airborne weed might land and sprout. But airborne weeds have tiny root systems. I can literally kick them with my foot while walking through or brush them aside while harvesting. Over the last few years, I can count on one hand how many times I've touched a weed in my garden. And I'm out there almost every day. That's the power of setting your garden up correctly from the start. Comment below, what's the most frustrating part about weeding for you? Back pain? Time wasted? Let's talk about it. Your weed-free garden starts now. You now know the complete system for never pulling weeds again. Clear pathways thoroughly at the start. Cover with biodegradable paper barrier and mulch. Elevate growing beds with raised beds. Plant intensively so no soil shows. That's it. 4 steps that eliminate weeding forever. Most gardeners will never learn this because they follow traditional advice that keeps them bent over pulling weeds for hours every week. That's exhausting, especially for seniors dealing with back problems or limited mobility. But you're smarter than that. You're setting up your garden the right way from the beginning, or you're retrofitting your existing garden to work correctly. The time you save not weeding is time you spend enjoying your garden, harvesting fresh vegetables, relaxing in your outdoor space. That's what gardening should be. If you love stress-free, low-maintenance gardening, hit that subscribe button immediately because that's all we talk about at Home Garden Fix. We got tons of time-saving, back-saving gardening hacks coming your way. Know someone frustrated with pulling weeds constantly? Share this video with them before they quit gardening entirely. Weeding frustration makes people give up on gardening, and that's tragic. Tell me in the comments which part of this method you're most excited to try in your own garden. The pathway barrier? The raised beds? The intensive planting? I want to hear what clicks for you. Thank you for being part of Home Garden Fix. Your best gardening years are happening right now. Until next time, keep it simple, keep it weed-free, and remember, if you're still pulling weeds, you're gardening wrong. Happy gardening, friends.